Luke, I am your father. No, you're not. Luke, I am your father. No, you're not. Luke, pay attention to me. I just cut off your arm, and I am your father. What shows nothing more than loving dad than to cut off the hand of thy son? Oh, crap. So, hey, welcome to a solo episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast in celebration of May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So let's dive into it. It's kind of like those trumpets at the end of episode 4. Well, kind of, not really. Because I'm not legally allowed to use the Star Wars theme, let me hum it for you. Bum pa pa bum pa pa bum 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 pa pa bum pa pa bum 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 pa 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 bum bum pa bum bum pa pa bum 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 pa bum 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 ba bum ba bum ba 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 bum bum ba 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 bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 bum. That was enough. All right, guys. Hey, I am super excited to be with you today. It's a solo episode. I've been threatening to do another one, and today seemed like a perfect day because I just got back from an amazing week in Philadelphia. They hate Cowboy fans there, by the way. Just going to say, I admitted I was a Cowboys fan. I am back in Austin, have no stabs or did not get shot, so that's good. But I got to meet a Jedi. I got to admit I was a Star Wars nerd, and I had so many lovely, lovely conversations about people who... grown-ass adults who basically are also nerds just like me. May the 4th is upon us. I thought this might be a perfect opportunity to just release an audio-only episode, so I'm not filming myself, so I didn't have to care whether my hair was combed. I didn't have to care whether I was wearing my Wookiee mask. I could just be me here on the audio version of the Ripple Effect Podcast. But today is a big day. It's May the 4th. Where all the people that you look on your social network and your friends list, you know, that you follow on Twitter, come to the table to pretend that they like Star Wars. Let's just be honest. You have so many people that will jump on this bandwagon today like, oh, like you've been following it with like great fervor for your entire life. No, dude, I played with the original Chewbacca who looked like, that action figure just looked like a piece of poop with arms. That you can't come at me, bro, and tell me you know Star Wars unless you were there to live it when it was released in 77, which I was. And I love it. And I am deeply, deeply, deeply engaged in all things Star Wars. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but, you know, George Lucas, now Disney, you know, they could put out, you know, Star Wars anything, right? And I'd watch it, and I would love every single bit of it. My kids, big fans. I will give them that. I mean, they have. It took them a while to come around, but they finally got there. And once I got them there, then all of a sudden, you know, because they are, you know, they're video makers, they're content creators. I mean, they're influencers. Let's just be honest, in their own little realm. But then, you know, they'd be like, oh, you know, that CGI, you know, it's just so cringe. It's cringe. You just saw a freaking planet blow up. What? How do you have a problem with that? Or, you know, the series with, you know, Boba Fett, there was just so many like cringy moments and the you know, the way that they tried to overdo the special effects. Like, my God, what's wrong with you boys? I raised you wrong. I don't know what your problem is, but I just don't know if I can actually call you my own, to be fair. I like all of it. I mean, like Apple could put out iPoop and I'd buy it, right? I'm a fanboy. Star Wars, same exact way, right? I had all the action figures when I was a kid. I desperately wish my dad had not thrown those things out. They'd be worth a fortune today. I had the X-Wing. I had the TIE Fighter. I had the Death Star. I had so many of these really awesome, you know, action figures and play sets, and I loved it. I loved it as a kid. I really think part of what I experienced in Star Wars and spending a lot of time, honestly, on my own, Star Wars gets all the credit for spurring my creativity, because I had to make up these adventures and do these things, as I was, sort of trying to stay and lay low in a family environment that was tenuous at best. Star Wars was like an old friend to me. And I went many, many years mourning the fact that, after Return of the Jedi, that was like no more movies. And then they came out with the prequels. And I, like a lot of people, were like, okay, this is interesting and it's a little bit different. But who would not like to know how Darth Vader became Darth Vader? Let's just be honest, right? So when Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, came out, I was like, man, it's a little pomp and circumstance. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks, a little bit out there for me. But even myself now, looking back at how many years it's been since the release of that movie, I recognize the genius of the story. I recognize how George Lucas was really trying to button up how the original Star Wars movies came about. And I just have to give so much credit. Now I watch them with great fervor. I love them. I used to be like a little bit, I don't know. I would not have loved them, as much. But then I recognize, like, dude, it's okay to be a fan. It's okay to love what they do and where they take it. And there's all sorts of criticisms about those early prequels. There's criticisms about the last, sets of movies, right? The last trilogy. And I get it. I understand it, right? People that come at it without actually buying wholeheartedly into the Star Wars universe probably don't really understand it. It's probably, hard to comprehend. But for us, fanboys like myself, anything and everything Star Wars, it's just freaking awesome. I mean, you could have Star Wars urinal, what are they called? Deodorizers. And, I would be more than happy to be peeing on Vader's face. I have a load of socks that are Star Wars. I have underwear, Star Wars. You name it, I probably have something in Star Wars that you probably couldn't come up with something that they haven't done that I wouldn't buy, right? Because I'm that big a fan. Star Wars coffee they haven't done that I'm aware of, right? But that would be it. My loyalty would I have all these great coffees that I enjoy, which I'm sipping one right now. But I would kick this to the curb in a heartbeat. If Star Wars and Disney, you probably are going to hear this, and next thing I know, there are going to be Star Wars pods dressed as little droids as you pop them into your Keurig, right? I know, bad for the planet. I hear that. I get it. Star Wars tells us we can go elsewhere in the galaxy. We're fine. We blow this thing up. We're going to have options, right? George has foreseen it. Anyway, I just got back from a week in Philadelphia where I spent some time with some amazing entrepreneurs for Philly Startup Leaders. I went to their Welcome Wagon event, got an opportunity to speak and actually put them through an 8-minute ripple. And I met an actual Jedi, literally met this guy named Jedi. And when he came up, he's like, dude, are you really wearing Star Wars socks? Because I'd mentioned I was wearing Star Wars socks. I'm a total nerd, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. And I showed him my socks. He's like, that's badass. He's like, my name is Jedi. I'm like, what? We were like best buds from there. It's like, dude, I want to, can I just have you come live with me in Austin? I'd be super happy about that. That'd be awesome. But he said no, declined. His wife, very pregnant. I wanted to know if the kid was going to be named Luke or Leia or Anakin or, Yoda, whatever. I don't know. They're going with something more traditional. Hey, to each their own. I get it. The Jedi are being hunted. So you got to, kind of keep it on the down low. And he's a tech entrepreneur, so he's trying to blend in, kind of like what's happening in the Obi-Wan series. That's how big a nerd I am, man. I can take real life scenarios and I can apply them to almost any situation that I see in real life. All right. So, or in Star Wars. I mean, anyway, as I sit here and I record this and I look at my Death Star lamp, I got the studio just lit just ever so perfectly. I didn't want to put it, you guys through the pain of seeing me decked out in my Star Wars gear today. I probably should have done that for the video, but I decided today audio only. But anyway, back to Jedi. I had a great conversation with him. He reached out to me on LinkedIn. He and I are going to be fast friends. I guarantee you. I will step up and combat the dark side if they ever look to invade Philly and try and go after him or his kids. We're now lifelong bonded friends. But I digress. Really, at the end of the day, this week, actually, with me revealing a few things. So I got to speak there. I got to speak at the Women in Tech Summit, thanks to my good friend. Both opportunities came because of my good friend Gloria Bell, who's also a Star Wars nerd, which I love. She's got multiple lightsabers. I'm pretty envious of her saber collection, to be honest with you. But I digress. I was there. I shared some things, one of which was Star Wars, and it was amazing how many people came up to me, right, and said, "Hey, like, I'm a secret Star Wars, nerd." And it's like, "Are you really? Okay, so tell me about, what really happened on Yavin." And that's how the depth that I'll go to validate whether somebody's just coming up and bullshitting me about their Star Wars love, or if they're a plant, like they're a secret plant from the Star Trek group, just trying to like jack with you. That happens a fair amount. You can smell those guys a mile away. They're like Klingons. I mean, they put off an odor. You can tell without question. But I met some genuine Star Wars fans. It was awesome, and it was really cool. And much like what I've talked about before on the Ripple Effect podcast, which, by the way, I didn't even start there. Hi, I'm Steve Harper. This is the Ripple Effect podcast with yours truly, Steve Harper, your Jedi Master for the day, if you will. Sorry, Jedi. I'm having to borrow back the title, if that's okay. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh my gosh. I met so many great people, and I talk about all the time the ripple in the podcast, and of course through my videos and whatnot. You got to find that connection point. And when people found out that there was a connection point with Star Wars, it was great to see the people that really got it, understood it, wanted to come share their love of it, and those that were sort of faking it to try and making it. And you could tell the difference. And no offense to them. Hey, God love you. Good try. But you got to go back and listen to what I said. You got to be authentic. You got to be real. But I had somebody ask me a question that I thought was really great to explore here on just this solo episode. Why did you love Star Wars? Why do you love Star Wars so much? And the simple fact of why I love Star Wars as much as I do is the fact that it was like a safe space for me as a kid growing up. Taking those action figures, I spent a lot of time alone. I had a very difficult home life, a lot of tension, a lot of fighting, and I could retreat to my room, and all of a sudden I had this entire universe at my command, right? I could control what was happening. I could create these adventures. I could really tap into my creativity. And I've said it before, but I really give Star Wars a tremendous amount of credit for spurring that on in me. I mean, I wish I was a better drawer. I wish I was a better writer. I wish I would have gone off and done some other things. Had I even known that Star Wars was going to come back, there would be an entire industry that would come from those movies. I would have put more energy towards that. I would have loved to have, written films or, written books or been involved in the comic industry or coming up with cool toys. I missed my window, right? After Return of the Jedi, that we were led to believe that would be it. That was it. Done. Okay. And so by the time, the 90s rolled around, they started back on the prequels, it was like, wait, that could have been a career choice? I mean, I could have done that. I could have been immersed in Star Wars stuff all the time. Sign me up. Where do I sign up? But I was, at that point I was married and, couldn't just hey, I want to go play in that universe, and I want to, stop doing what I'm doing and go play, go do this other thing. And that wouldn't have worked. Wouldn't have been super responsible of me. And I probably would have gotten divorced because at that point, my wife was not a huge Star Wars fan. And to this day, probably is not a huge Star Wars fan. But as she has said, she's heard so many continuous hours of the movies, the shows, the dialogues, the audiobooks, all the things that I'm into, seen probably more comic books than human man should be allowed to own at this point for Star Wars comic books. she has absorbed it by osmosis. It's not what she wants. It's not a condition that, can be treated by medication. It just is, right? So she might have been fine had I just said, hey, look, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to chase down George Lucas. I'm going to ripple my way to George and get that guy to like me. I know he and I would have been best buddies. I would have probably taken the seat next to the Emperor and been like his little mini Darth Vader, like, whatever you need me to execute, sir, I will execute. I am down for that. I will absolutely do it. Just don't cut off my arms, my legs, or make, my master do that, because that'd suck. I really, that would be painful, one, and I already have asthma, so I kind of feel like I already have the breathing apparatus, so let's just stay cool, right? That's what I would have done, probably. And I would have been happy. But I would have gone down a different path, right? I would not have gone down the path that I'm on. And I guess one of the things that really inspired me this week was just how many people really sort of shared their own intimate reason why Star Wars still sticks out for them, why they love the series, love the movies, all the series and all the movies, and just so continue to get into it, because just for a little bit, you can lose sight of what is happening in this world and how challenging things are. But what's great about it is there are lessons in these movies. There's lessons in the hero's journey of Skywalker and Rey, and even to a degree, Ben Solo becoming Kylo Ren, which I didn't love that portion of the storytelling, but whatever. I respect it now. But, what wouldn't have been my creative choice. Had I been in the second seat next to the Emperor George Lucas, I would have been like, sir, I have the ultimate path forward for these movies. And he would have been like, yeah, oh my God, that's more brilliant than I would have come up with. And I'm George Lucas. Here, let me give you a couple of $1 billion because you're just awesome and a super fan and my second in command. And, I didn't cut off your arms and legs and put you into a suit that required you to breathe really heavily. Although you do breathe kind of weird. And then I'd have to remind him the asthma thing and whatever. But they didn't reach out to me. I didn't have that opportunity. We all have our paths, our hero's journey. Last weekend, I made my wife go through this movie called Finding Joe, which was talking about Joseph Campbell and his philosophy about the hero's journey. And they touch on Star Wars a good number of times in this movie. And she was like, very suspect about it. She's like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get me to buy into the whole story, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, everybody has a hero's journey. There's this thing that we all go through. We come from our origin. We have some challenges, and it's how well we deal with those challenges and overcome them, right? That's the hero's journey. She didn't buy it, right? Because they just kept showing scenes from Star Wars. But Finding Joe, it's on Netflix, YouTube. I think you really, really will benefit from it, especially if you're a Star Wars nerd. But I recognized in my own situation that, I had to choose my path, my destiny. And my destiny led me down a different direction than sitting next to George Lucas and co-creating probably what would have been the greatest sets of films to ever be seen. But those will be locked away in my own brain for right now. Maybe one day. George will find me because someone will give him my book or say, hey, have you met Steve Harper, the Ripple Man? And he'll be like, no, but that sounds great. That sounds like a character that needs to be in Star Wars, the Ripple Man. Yeah, I'll be sent off to some faraway planet, and I'll be just hanging out there waiting for my time to strike against the Empire. Or maybe I rise up and I take over the Empire. I don't know. I mean, it was like, maybe a corporate takeover of some sort. I don't know. But I'm on this planet. George finds me, says, hey, come on, help me, take some of these great ideas that you've been sort of letting marinate in that amazingly big brain of yours. I haven't seen a brain like that since Yoda. I mean, dude, awesome. Come on. And I've been saving the seat next to me forever. Of course, now that seat would, be at, Skywalker Ranch, where he's been, also, sent off to, live out his days. But I'd still go. I mean, I'd still go, even though Disney probably wouldn't greenlight us to make any of it because, they want to make it too Disney-esque. Don't get me started on that, but I digress. My whole point in all of this was, getting the opportunity to have these conversations with people and hearing how much it has meant to them, what it means to them, and how they use that connection point to really bridge a conversation with me was phenomenal. And I had such a great time. I met so many great people, and I love the fact that I can apply, whether it be Star Wars, my love of the Cowboys, the Cubs, Springsteen, all these things become these conversation jumping off points for people, right? These dialogues, jumping off points, that I call connection points. And I opened up my email when I got back to Austin yesterday, and there was an email from an attendee from the Women in Tech Summit who just said how much she enjoyed my presentation and that no matter what, we are going to stay in contact, stay in contact because of Star Wars. And what did I think of the upcoming Acolyte? What a perfect way to engage me and get me, involved in conversation. And now this person holds a special place in my heart and mind, right? I also had an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who came up in super subtle shirt she was wearing, but it was a Star Wars shirt. I got a picture of it. It's on my Instagram. She's awesome. But it's just those kinds of things, right, that just really, really come home for me. So when you look at this day, find a way to be more tolerant to people, be willing to engage those that are total fake fans that are just jumping up on the social media thing, and maybe convert some of those fake fans into real fans and say, at the end of the day, Star Wars is about finding yourself, discovering your hero's journey, and jumping in with both feet and making your life the way you really want to make it. I know I just went through this whole fantasy of working next to George Lucas, but in today's world with everything that's going on, there's really no limitation to whether I could decide to create my own version of Star Wars in some capacity or do something, to just foster the fan fiction or whatever I want to do. Or maybe I'll just pull out my action figures and, create my own journey and create my own, adventures. I don't know. I've got plenty of them now. As an adult, I have kind of gone a little bit overboard. I will admit, my wife would say absolutely 100% guaranteed. I've bought all these things and, they make me smile. They make me laugh. They make me happy when I look at them, or I put them in different poses and just let them sit there and stand there. They're a reminder that, that was a safe space for me. It's a creative space for me. It's an opportunity to be a kid even at 53. And for me, the adventure continues. I can't wait to see what comes next. I can't wait to see what new books and adventures come out. I can't wait to see, this new series, The Acolyte, where it's even before the prequel movies now, right? We're going to see some cool stuff. Can't wait to see where they take The Mandalorian. I hope they come back with Boba Fett. I hope they come back with another season of Obi-Wan, even though it's been said that there won't. I just think they tell us those things just to make us sad, and then they come and surprise us. That is the one advantage to Disney. They have done some things that I never thought they would do, and they've done a respectable job, right, for what they've done. I don't think they're maybe as awesome as if they had gotten George more directly involved, but I don't know, what did they do? They siloed him off on Skywalker Ranch, probably not tapping that amazing brain of his, but John Lafrere or whatever his name is, I can never say his last name, Lafave. All I know is he was the big baller in the movie Rudy. He came to see Rudy, play his game. I've loved John, even Favreau. That's what I was thinking. Jon Favreau. He's doing a good job. I think he's taken some of what Lucas had hoped for this to be and really doing a good job trying to focus their efforts on the spirit of what George created in the universe. I also think Dave Filoni's doing a great job as well. These two at the helm, I think they will do a great job sort of guiding this next generation of stories for all of us to consume. And I can't wait for me to have grandkids at some point and be able to let me just show you what this is. This will be everything to you, hopefully. Hopefully my kids don't screw them up and don't let them watch it or some crazy crap like that. But I digress. The whole purpose of today's episode, though, was really to just welcome you into what is an amazing day. May the 4th be with you. Recognize that there are going to be a lot of tryhards out there, but tryhards need the help too, and engage them and say, oh, what was your favorite series? What was your favorite character? What's your favorite movie? Get the conversation started. And maybe even if they don't have the depth of Star Wars knowledge that you and I might have, use it as an opportunity to educate them. Use it as an opportunity to have a conversation and have some fun with it. Play with it and see where it goes and what it does. And you may just find yourself creating a Star Wars ripple that you could never have thought of in a million years. So that's my thoughts. I wanted to share it. I will be back with another episode very soon with some amazing guests. I mean, can I just get an amen for how many amazing people I've had on the podcast this year, last year? I mean, my game is amped up and I am super excited. I mean, I feel like I'm rocking and rolling, with this podcast. I've got more people than I can keep up with that are asking to be guests on it. So I must be doing something right. That is exciting. And I love the fact that I keep getting such amazing feedback and input from you guys, my listeners. And so I'm so grateful for that. So go out there. May the Force be with you. Have a great Star Wars day. It's really Star Wars month. There's going to be so much good stuff happening in the month of May. Star Wars oriented, jump on, find one of these posts that shows all the things that May really represents in the Star Wars universe. And then think of me kindly and smile, because be like, yeah, I might not have known that if it wasn't for that nerd. Well, if you're a super nerd like me, you're probably like, yeah, dude, duh. Don't go to social. You should be able to just call them off. Well, I can't. My brain capacity is a little limited these days on the Star Wars universe, but, I'm glad people put those things together so we have the ability to look at them and understand what day belongs to what movie or what corresponds to what character or whatever, right? Anyway, you guys have a great one. May the Force be with you, and go out there and do some rippling. Star Wars style. How about that? Talk to you soon. Ripple on.